this session by Science Club, and I thank Shefali for taking an initiative to make all the arrangements. Shefali is going to be the host today, and I'm going to be the moderator. So, Shefali, over to you.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, everyone. So I welcome you all on the behalf of all the interns and speakers of the evening. The topic of today's session is interns and their experiences at different research institute. So in today's webinar, rather of discussing about how to apply, like the procedure, where to apply, the institutes or the application deadlines, I think all of this information is pretty much available on the internet. So what people lack in information, that when you go for an internship, like you spend for 2 or more than 2 months, 60 to 70 days. So how one keep themselves motivated and sharing their experiences, I think this is the core part of the or crucial part of any of the internship. So I would like to bring 2 points to the knowledge of all the speakers, that they can speak for minimum 4 to 5 minutes and maximum for 7 to 8 minutes. I request you all to not exceed this limit. And second thing is, you can use any of the language, English, Hindi or Punjabi, in whichever language you are comfortable to speak in. So for the participants, at last there would be a question and answer session. So any of the participant who would like to ask the question can ask, and either directly by taking the name of the speaker from whom they want to ask, or any of the speaker can raise their hand, or we can unmute him or her to answer the question. So I hope at the last of this session, every one of you will get pretty much idea about what to do and what not to do during an internship. So having said that, I think we are good to go. So without any further delay, I would firstly like to invite the first speaker of the evening, Mr. Rishabh Nakra. Rishabh has completed his BSc from Guru Nanak Dev University, Amritsar, and is currently pursuing MSc from Guru Nanak Dev University itself. So he is an former intern at IAS Bengaluru, and he has done his internship at Indian Institute of Astrophysics in Bengaluru itself. Rishabh, I would like to ask you how this internship helped or motivated you to explore yourself as a researcher. You can this answer Dil while sharing your experience altogether at Indian Institute of Astrophysics.
Thank you, Shefali. First of all, thank you very much for such a warm welcome. So I was always interested in astronomy. When I was in 8th standard, I got interested in astronomy. And it was in 10th standard that I came across the Indian Institute of Astrophysics for the very first time. So I always wanted to visit this place. When I got into MSc first year, I got a chance to visit the Indian Institute of Astrophysics via the Indian Academy of Sciences. And so since I was so much interested in astronomy, and visiting this place was really like a dream to me. So it was a very nice experience getting there at the first place. So my research guide was Dr. Mausami Das, who works in the field of extragalactic astronomy. Mine was a theoretical project. So the title of my project was Studying the Nature of the Galaxies in the ARP Catalogue. So I'll just give you a brief introduction to this project. So in 1927, when the astronomer Edwin Hubble, he started classifying the galaxies according to his morphology. There were many galaxies that could not be classified, and the number of those galaxies started increasing as more and more observations were made. By the end of 1960s, we had many catalogs of peculiar galaxies that were very strange in shape and that could not be fitted in the Hubble morphology. So one such catalog was compiled by Professor Halton, the ARP Catalogue of Peculiar Galaxies. And back then he just classified the galaxies according to visual appearance, because we didn't know the physics behind the what is causing those peculiarities. So in this project, we revisited that catalog of 338 galaxies and divided and reclassified those galaxies on the basis of physical appearance, and then on the basis of whether they are star-forming galaxies, they are starburst galaxies, or they are AGNs. And then another aim was to find the possible tidal dwarf galaxies. So since this was the very first project in the field of astronomy for me, I learned many things in this project. And before this project, I had always been, interested in stars. So I always liked stellar astrophysics more, and I knew nothing about galaxies. So this project helped me explore a new field of astronomy, and it taught me a very important lesson that when you are young, you should explore every branch of, what interests you the most. You just don't stick to just one field. So I used to stick to just stellar astrophysics, and I knew nothing about other fields of astrophysics. So this project really helped me to explore more of astrophysics and helped me to, now I'm doing an independent research project in the field of galactic astronomy, and I could not have imagined that a year ago because I knew nothing about the galaxies. In this project, I also learned many things, many softwares that are used by professional astronomers, and some of them were the SDSS Sky Survey. So it's a very vast sky survey that is maintained by NASA and IPAC, and you can, get uh, every information that you need from the survey about any extragalactic object or for the objects in our own galaxies. Then the second thing was I got a chance to learn Python programming language because I had always started the programming language before this, but I could not complete it because there was no research motive, there was no scientific motive for me to learn the Python programming language. But now, when I had a research project in hand, I knew what I had to do, so it helped me understand. It helped me, get an opportunity to learn Python. And the third thing was that I learned a very important software, how to run it. That was DS9, SAOMH DS9. It is used by astronomers, both amateurs and the professionals, for image analysis of the professional astronomy images. And since I was posted in Bangalore by the IAS, we had to write a 4 week and 8 week report. My project was of 8 weeks, so we had to write 4 week and 8 week report and give it to the uh, Indian Academy of Sciences, which has its building in the Raman Research Institute. So visiting Raman Research Institute was a very good experience because they have a very great campus. It's so many trees and it's all natural. And then we also had a chance to visit the Indian Institute of Science 3 times because they had some talks arranged for the summer research fellow students. And again, it was a very nice experience to visit the premier institute of science in India. And next is that you get to see and work with so many new students. So when I was in Indian Institute of Astrophysics, so all over the India there were students. So when you interact with them, when you interact with like-minded people who share the same interest, even you get to learn a lot of things because they can offer a lot of things that you don't know, and you can also share with them. So those things that they don't know and you know more. So it was always, sharing of knowledge experience. So yes, this internship helped me a lot, and like it was really a dream place to go, a dream to go to Indian Institute of Astrophysics, and of course it helped me a lot. Now, as a master's project in at GNDU, I am doing a project in astronomy only because I am just applying those things in this current project that I learned last summer.
Yeah.
So I want to share something, personal. I was never a 9 pointer in my bachelor's degree. Okay, even in my master's degree, you can my CGPA was just 8.2, which is not that high and which is not, of course, that low. So after bachelor's degree, when I applied to 11 research institutes for a internship, and I got rejected by all of them. Okay, so of course, it had a lot to do with my CGPA, which was 8.2. Now, the question is, does CGPA matter? Of course, yes. Is it everything? No. Why? Because after I got rejected with all the institutes, I started doing a research project at my own university in the field of plasma physics. So that project was an amalgamation of particle physics, plasma physics, and stellar astrophysics. So all the years of learning, reading about stars and everything, all those years of self study finally paid me off. Okay, so I did my project. I learned a lot in this first research project of my life. I learned new softwares, the art of literature survey and everything. Then after in September or October, I applied again to the Indian Academy of Sciences with the same CGPA because we had not given the exams for the first semester of MSc yet. So with the 8.2 score, but now I had some research experience in my hand. So I wrote, the in the motivation letter that why I want to do this project and what research experience I have, and they accepted me this time. So if you don't get any internship, it is always the best option to do a project with someone at your university, because even if you don't get you, there is always a chance to learn so much. So I can easily compare the amount of things that I learned in my first project and the project at IIA. They really helped me a lot in their unique own ways. So it really matters a lot, and that's it.
Okay. So thank you so much, Rishabh, for sharing such a nice experience with
You're
all.
welcome.
The second speaker of the evening is Neha Sharma. Neha has done BSc in GNDU, Amritsar, and she is currently pursuing masters in GNDU itself. She has completed an internship through an IAS program at NPL, that is National Physical Laboratory at Delhi. She has worked on preparing thin films experimentally. So
Okay.
Neha, I would like to ask you something. Tell us something about National Physical Laboratory and share your experience while working at such an esteemed institute.
Okay. Thank you, Shefali, for asking such a wonderful questions. And I think my answers will be benefiting all the participants over here. So, hi everyone. My name is Neha Sharma, and I'm currently studying in Guru Nanak Dev University, pursuing my MSc Physics honors. So, talking about internships, I personally believe that getting an opportunity to work in any of the esteemed institution or any of the research laboratories is itself a very memorable and exciting experience. So, hopefully, I got a chance to, and I was selected under the IS program and was given an opportunity to work in one of the most oldest laboratories of India, that is the National Physical Laboratory. Before discussing about my experience about experience in NPL, I would like to tell a basic information about what NPL does and what is the basic responsibility of NPL. So I think that most of you might be knowing that NPL is the standard measurement laboratory of India. And the basic responsibility of the NPL is to maintain the standardized SI units. Now, what does that mean? We all know that we have the physical quantities, the basic physical quantities like mass, length, time, and so on. These all physical quantities have the SI units, like length has the meters, mass has the kg, and so on. Now, these all SI units, their standard measurement means their unit measurement is what maintained at NPL. For example, if I say length, then 1 meter of the length is what is maintained at NPL. Sorry. So how do they do this is a difficult job to tell. But since I devoted the starting of my weeks at the time frequency department of NPL, so I know that how do they maintain 1 second of the time over there. So basically they do this with the help of the cesium clocks. So everyone has heard about these cesium clocks, or we have heard about the atomic clocks. So what does they do is that 1 second is divided into so many number of oscillations, millions of oscillations. So in the cesium clock, we have the cesium atom that has so many of oscillations, and that oscillations constitute to the 1 second. So in NPL, you have the cesium clock. There is a room. I think that room, for the reasons of security, nobody is allowed to go that particular room. But that room or that cesium clock is basically providing the precise measurement of the time to all the scientists. So if any one of you got a chance to visit NPL, so at the first door of the NPL, there is a big clock that provides the Indian Standard Time. And I must tell that that Indian Standard Time is the time which is synchronized with all our clocks in India. So NPL is providing us the time, and that time is synchronized with all the clocks. And that time is provided by the cesium clocks. So this is what NPL is doing. Beside this, I think the second thing which NPL is doing right now is that they maintain their standards, or they compare their standards with the international standard. So that in case we have the trading opportunities, we have, trades between the international boundaries, we don't have any sort of the disputes. So this was what NPL is all about, and what NPL actually is doing out. Now talking about my internship, I was selected in the material science department of the NPL, and I was selected under the supervision of Dr. Sangeeta Sahu, who is currently the senior most scientist at NPL, and she is um, working on the superconducting thin films at the room temperature and the gold nitride thin films. So on the first day when I went to Dr. Sangeeta Sahu's office, I was very nervous. But I must tell that she is one of the most hardworking and the most caring lady I have ever seen. So once I started talking to her, my all hesitation was gone. So that was Dr. Sangeeta Sahu. And then she took me to the lab and she introduced me to all the fellow researchers, or all the fellow lab mates of that particular lab. So surprisingly, what she did, that she asked me on the first day that go and have a visit all around the NPL and try to analyze and look the things at NPL. So that was an interesting thing. So for the first day, I just was wandering all around the NPL, trying to analyze what are the departments of the NPL, and what are the various auditoriums, HRDs, and also such things at the NPL. So the first day I was quite familiar with the NPL places, or the various things about the NPL. So that was my first day. The second day she allotted me the project, and my project was basically on the synthesis of the gold nitride thin films and nanostructures, and of course the characterization of it. So as we all know that gold is the backbone of our electronic industry, but the basic problem with the gold is that it's very expensive and we cannot every time use gold. So, so scientists, what they are trying to do is they are trying to find a substitute for the gold. And they have found that a gold nitride is the best possible fit for the gold. And they have also found that the gold nitride has more conductive properties as compared to that of the gold. So my responsibility or my project over NPL, or under my mentor, was basically to study the properties of these gold nitride and have the synthesis of these gold nitride. So that was a thing, and my method was totally new. Nobody has done that method yet. And yes, the technique which I used was the sputtering. And basically, this was the first time I heard about sputtering, and it was the first time I saw the real technique or the instrument of sputtering in front of me. One thing more I would like to share, that most of these experimental internship, what they try is that for the first few weeks, they try to put you in the pressure of learning the things own by own. And that's very good. But you get to feel bored about reading about all these stuff. But once you have a good knowledge about your project, what you need to do, then they introduce to you to the experimental physics. And that is the most exciting thing I think I have ever witnessed or experienced in my life. So for the initial weeks, I was just reading about sputtering, about the deposition techniques, about the methods of CVDs and PVDs, what are the methods to synthesize the gold nitride films, and the research papers and on. And then finally, I was taken to the lab where sputtering technique was kept, and I was to do the sputtering technique analysis. So my synthesis was done over that particular technique. Meanwhile, my research fellow, who was from the same NPL institute only, she used to take me to other research laboratories in order to analyze the samples. That time I learned about more techniques, and I saw many of the techniques over there. For example, one of the technique was MBE, the molecular beam epitaxy. I must tell you that NPL is one of the few institutes in India who is having the molecular beam epitaxy, and it is one of the most complicated technique I have ever seen. Then I also learned about some of the techniques like SIM, TEM, that are the basic characterization technique. And I think every material scientist or the material person should be knowing about these techniques. So that was basically my experience about it. Then I think on the last day, when I need to submit my report and analyze all the data about my characterization techniques, my mentor was quite happy with my analysis. And she asked me that to join the NPL, but I said that I will be coming back soon. And then on the last day, she organized a party for me, and she gave a wonderful, wonderful coffee mug as a token of love. And my fellow friends also gave me the greeting cards. So I was so grateful and so happy to be part of NPL family, even for the only 2 months. But that was the most exciting experience I have ever witnessed. One thing more, that I think that any person who is belonging to a science stream or the math stream, he should be attending at least one internship during their course. The motive of the internship is not for only the intellectual purpose, or you will be getting knowledge about the thing, but also that you will be more socialized. You will be getting to involve with the people around you. Maybe those people are belonging to your field, or maybe they are not belonging to your field. But I personally feel that each and every person you meet in life has something to teach you, and that's very important. And getting an opportunity to work with such a people and such a scientist is always a great fun. Now, considering the second question of Shefali, that how these techniques are helpful for us, is that getting or learning about these techniques is always helpful to you. See, if you are getting a chance to go for an interview in any of the institution and you have learned already the technique, then you have the more possibility that you will be selected, because they don't need to invest time on you on learning. You will be knowing the things beforehand, and you will be directly starting up the project. So you have the more chances of getting selected if you have participated in any sort of these internships. And as Rishabh has already explained, that it's not always easy that you get the internship on the first try. I have not got the internship on the first try. Frankly speaking, I did try for the 3rd or the 4th time, and the 4th time I got this internship. But one thing is for sure, that after every internship rejection, you get to know that you need to improve. You need to improve your CV, you need to improve your write-up, and that's very important. So that's what I find, and that's what I think, that you should continue to improve your write-up and apply the internships. That was my experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Neha, for sharing such a valuable experience with us. Now I would like to invite third speaker of the evening, Simran Kaur. She has completed her BSc from Guru Nanak Dev University, Amritsar, and she is currently pursuing MSc from Guru Nanak Dev University. And she is a former intern at IISER Mohali, and the field in which she worked was quantum physics. So Simran, I would like to ask you share your experience while working at IISER Mohali, and how the atmosphere of IISER Mohali is different from our university research atmosphere.
Okay. Thank you, Shefali, for such a warm welcome. So, good evening, everyone. As Shefali has already mentioned, that my name is Simran Preet, and presently I am a final year postgrad student at Department of Physics, GNU. So today I'm here to share with you my experiences of a short-term internship that I got to pursue at IISER Mohali while I was an undergrad. So to begin with, let me tell you something about how I actually got this internship. So as Neha and Rishabh has already mentioned, that they got the respective project via an official internship program. But my story is a bit different. I didn't get this internship directly, rather I applied for it indirectly. It's not that I didn't apply for any official program, but the odds were not in my favor. So after consulting with Dr. Bindya Arora, who is one of our professors in the department, I wrote to one of the professors in IISER Mohali, that is Dr. Mandeep Singh. I wrote to him that I really want to work on a project with him, that his research works have greatly inspired him. I sent him my CV and everything, and he replied me. But he told me that he has already finalized some students for his summer program. Still, he said that if you are really interested, you can come here for an interview and then I will decide what to do with you. So I went for the internship at IISER Mohali. So I went for the interview, and where he asked me some general questions regarding the subject, and also inquired that if I'm ready to work under his guidance, even without any funding. Now, this was an important choice that I had to make. But somehow I agreed for a non-funded project, and in this way, I got this internship. Now, see, to be very honest, the word internship comes with a perspective of a paid stipend, a paid accommodation, and everything. So, bearing all these expenses on your own and doing any internship just for the sake of an added research experience is definitely a difficult question for many. So, I would advise you to go for such unpaid internships only and only if you are genuinely interested to pursue this subject. Otherwise, there's no fun of joining these institutes. Okay, because unless and until you are not genuinely interested in your research work, there's no fun of spending the money out of your own pocket. Okay, so now talking about my experience at IISER Mohali, I must say it was a memorable one. I must share with you that IISER Mohali has the most serene and peaceful environment I have ever lived in. The library and the reading house facilities there are beyond amazing. We used to meet our guide only once a week, so I spent most of my time in the IISER Mohali in the libraries and in the reading houses. And the calmness and the peace that I found there was definitely a perfect blend for a research experiences. Now, I won't delve much into the details of the project that I did there, but just to inform you, it was a short theoretical project, and mostly my work was related with deriving some of the proofs of the basic entities related to the API paradox in quantum mechanics. Although my work did not involve a cutting edge research, as I would say, but still it helped me to teach a lot of things. It taught me that how important it is for you to work independently. No doubt that you need a proper guidance, but believe me, your guide cannot do everything. You have to make efforts on your own. Okay. So apart from this, internships give you a lot of exposure, which not only helps you in your career, but also give you some lifelong lessons. For example, before this internship, I had never been away from my home for more than 2 or 3 days. So in this internship taught me that how to manage everything on my own, to handle everything lonely in a completely new city. So this internship helped me to become more confident about myself. So definitely internships can do a lot for you. With this, I would like to conclude my part, and I thank SciRox for giving me the opportunity to share my experiences with you. So now before going, I would like to invite Shefali, who is the host of the evening, to share her experiences of internship that she was a part of in 2018. Let me inform you, Shefali Prabhakar is currently pursuing her master's in Department of Physics, GNU, and she did this internship in the field of particle physics at Sardar Patel University, Gujarat, as a part of the IAS program. So I request you, Shefali, to kindly share your experience with us and also put some light on the basic difference between a summer program, between a summer school and summer internships. So over to you, Shefali.
Thank you so much, Simran, for such a warm welcome. So yeah, I was also an intern at IAS. Through IAS, I worked in Sardar Patel University, Gujarat, under a professor, Pothoti Chakra Vinod Kumar. He is such a generous man. Like, I'll tell you a story that how I entered the lab. So first day I was very nervous because I was just BSc pass out and I did not had any earlier experience of any kind of internship. So I just entered the lab and he was sitting in front of me. He did not ask my name or anything. He just said, what is the unit of a constant? I was already very nervous and I just don't even knowing about what constant he's talking about. I said, constant do not have any unit. And he said, why? Your height is a constant, but it has a unit. So it was the experience, like how I entered the lab. Professor Puthoti Chakra Vinod Kumar is currently working in the theoretical hadron physics, along with the flavor of some astrophysical relativity. So according to me, as Simran asked, what is the basic difference between summer internship and a summer school? So both of these things I think are very different and apart from each other. So for summer school, you have a prepared schedule of classes that you have to attend the classes under different professors. You are not assigned one professor under whom you need to work, but you have to work, you have to attend the classes of different teachers. So and you may have lab visits, but you are not supposed to work in any particular lab or do any research work there. You just have to attend the classes and to taste, I would say, taste the different flavors of a particular subject. Like if you go for an astronomy school, so you will get to know what are the branches of the astrophysics, and you will get to know about those topics, so that you can choose your research path. So for summer internship, I would say it is best, better than the summer program. You have to work on a particular problem. You are assigned a particular project and you are working on a single problem, instead of having the flavors of different different kind of subjects. So you are just working on a particular topic. So you have to stay in the lab in this case, from morning to evening. It's your wish you want to come on Sundays or not. And in the case of internships, you have to submit a report, like I submitted to IAS in Bangalore. But in summer schools, I don't think you need to submit any report. So I would like to tell you now, the BSc first year students or BSc second year students, they can go for summer schools. They are beneficial for them because they have not read so much like classical or quantum or spectroscopy. So they cannot go with research, I think. So summer schools are best for BSc first year and BSc second year. For the BSc passed out student or MSc first year student, I think they have pretty much good knowledge of quantum mechanics, classical and other subjects. So you have pre-knowledge of, you have read the book, you have pre-knowledge of the subject. Now you have to apply those things to a particular problem, that how you are going to solve the problem. So I think summer internship is better than summer schools, but it depends upon in which class you are. Absolutely. So the next thing that I want to tell about my project is, my project was, as Simran said, was on particle physics, mainly in the field of high energy physics. So as I was in the hadron lab, so I worked on hadrons itself. So we basically worked on fundamental particles. So as might some of you know, the fundamental particle is the quark. There are 6 quarks. So the main problem with quark is that they are not confined. From confinement, I mean that they cannot move freely. They are not free to move alone. So they always need a partner along themselves to move in a particular way. For example, one quark can combine with its anti-quark or any other quark. They form a bound state, and that bound state is called a mesonic state or a meson. So we particularly find the masses of those mesons. So that was the interesting thing that I have done, I think. So the next thing that I want to emphasize is the learning process, that what I have learned in that internship. So the first thing is, I learned about the literature survey. Earlier in up to BSc, we were just reading our academic books, maybe some of the non-academic books, but all of those things were already proved. We just have to read, understand, learn, and give exams, and that's it. But in case of literature survey, I found it very difficult for the first time to read some research papers, and have a look on thesis and understanding them at the same time. This was very difficult for me. But I think when with the time you learn these things slowly, and you grasp these things, and now I think every day you get a new paper to read, new thesis or somehow like that. So you get an idea how to do the literature survey, and how to choose your path, in which field you want to work, and how can you solve your problem. Obviously, so many people are in the world have done the problem already, but you find a new technique to solve the problem and to get your results. For example, the research that I have done, the LHC is working on that at CERN. They have already found the masses of mesons, but we were finding than theoretically. Most of the people have done this already relativistically. What I was trying to do was I was trying to do it non-relativistically. So the second thing that is very personal experience that I have learned is, I would say, haste is waste. So for this, I'll give an example. Like, you are having a numerical problem, you read the problem and you understand it, you write the formula and you get the answer. But in research problem, it is not like that. It do not go this way. Like, you are having a problem, you cannot find the result like in numerical 5 minutes or 10 minutes or half an hour. But in research, when you are having a problem, it may take 1 year, 2 year, or more than that to do your research. So I was a person who was rushing into things, like doing quickly everything, and I was very upset that why is this not happening and this is such a wastage of time. But with the passage of the time, I realized that patience with consistency is the only key to do research. There is no shortcut in between. So at last, I would like to recommend some of my juniors that there are 3 things I think most important to get an internship. First is from the very beginning of the BSc, as Rishabh said, you have to work on your CGPA, obviously. So CGPA, I'm not saying to have CGPA more than 9.5 or something of that sort, but to have a CGPA between 7.8 to 9.9 something is pretty good if you are having a good write-up along with that. So second thing is obviously write-up. So a write-up is the person who is going to read your research, what research proposal, don't know you personally. So it's a kind of bridge between modulating your idea and it's demodulated at another end. So you must write it wisely so you get that internship. Third, most important thing is the obviously letter of recommendation. This is the I think most important thing, that if any teacher recommend you with having good thoughts about you, you are all obviously going to get an internship. And even if you are not going to get internship after having all these qualities, you can start working in your own department as well. So this was my personal experience, what I have experienced. So moving further on, I think we should start with our next speaker. Our next speaker is Simran. Simran has done his BSc from GNDU, and she is currently pursuing her master's in Punjab University, Chandigarh. So she's also a former intern at IAS intern at SINP Kolkata, that is Saha Institute of Nuclear Physics, I think. And the field in which she worked was nuclear physics using HPGE detector. I think Simran will tell us about this detector in much detail. So Simran, I would like to ask about your experience at such a prestigious institute, Saha Institute of Nuclear Physics.
Hello. Thank you, Shifali, for asking me this question. So first of all, I would like to start with how this whole thing started of internship. Like, I had been applying for internship for long time, but I was not getting selected at any institute. Like from the almost during BSc, I had started applying for many institutes. But at the beginning, this was more about experiencing the research, and I was not clear about which topics I actually wanted to work on. I still remember the first time when I had applied at an institute. When I think about it now, I wonder that was a subject that I was not even interested in at that time. That now I realize that I didn't know anything about writing a write-up at that point. So with time, I learned how to write a write-up, how to write a good write-up. Then I learned which fields actually interest me. So I had not one field, 2, 3 fields. So I wanted to gain experience in each one of them. So I applied in nuclear physics and particle physics in Indian Academy of Sciences, and I got selected for nuclear physics at Saha Institute, Kolkata. So my guide was Sushanta Lahiri, Professor Sushanta Lahiri. He is the head of Chemical Sciences Department at Saha Institute. And first of all, I was amazed, obviously, that I had got selected, and that too at such a place like Kolkata. To be honest, I had not heard about this institute before. And I was like, what should be done now? Like, first of all, I applied it. Now I have got selected, and now I have to persuade my parents to send me there first of all. So, but I persuaded them, and they were ready to send me there. So then I was wondering, like, when my guide was working in chemical sciences, and I was wondering, like, is it a good idea to work in that field? Because obviously I want to work in physics. I was doubting it, but then I was like, no, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. I had not got selected in any other institute either. So I went with it, and this is the like best thing that ever happened to me, like in ever. So we went to Kolkata. My father came with me to lead me there, and I first time I went to the institute, like it was like so beautiful, and everything was so majestic about it, and I was like, yeah, this is the place where I want to be. So I met my guide, and he was like very nice and sweet person. Like I was expecting some strict teacher, depending on whatever I had found about him on internet, and I was like, he must be very strict, and I don't know what I was expecting at that time. So, but he was really nice, and he told me to just have rest since we had traveled for a long duration of time. So first day just went like that for me. So then when we actually started the project, my guide didn't actually himself work with me. He told his senior most PhD student to help me with the project. She was guiding me in this project. She was guiding all other students. So my project was on this HPGE detector, high purity germanium detector. It is a detector used to detect gamma rays, gamma spectroscopy. Basically, I was doing gamma spectroscopy using this detector. Now, the special thing about this detector is that it is a detector which has very high efficiency of detecting gamma radiation. We have worked on GM counters in our labs, and we know that a counter or any such device is not able to detect all the rays that enter its detector. So we need a device which can actually detect maximum amount of radiation that enters it. So this particular device has 80% efficiency of detecting this radiation, and it is very costly. So it is not available everywhere. And different efficiencies were available with my guide, and he had different such HPG detectors. So he had this latest detector, like he had bought it just recently. It was 80% efficiency detector, and I had to work on it and do the gamma spectroscopy of the natural samples that were collected from different places like Sundarbans and different places in Punjab also. Like they had been working with many scientists all over India, and some scientists at my university also. So I started the project, and at first I was like so motivated towards this thing. Like before starting this internship, like we had just finished our exam that week only, and in 2-3 days I had to leave for this internship, and I was also wondering, like uh, the the exams had been very tiresome and very hard, and I was like I don't know if I would get enough rest to actually deliver my best in internship at that time. But when I actually got to see how things were going on in the institute, how actually research was going on, I was so motivated that I completely forget about my whole life before internship, and I was like completely absorbed into this atmosphere. Like first thing that I learned about in this internship was that the need to pay attention to details and be completely attentive to everything that is going on. Obviously, since it was experimental project, so I had to like be very alert, like the press a certain button at the right time and do all that things. So I could not get like diverted. My mind needed to be like present at that moment to do this work efficiently. So there were times like when I was like working on this thing, and I would like forget like which thing, like just get distracted sometimes. So I learned that the importance of paying attention and being attentive to this whole thing, and that thing that we naturally sorry in our the day-to-day life we don't do this thing. Actually, we like every day we go to lectures, we attend the lectures, we come back, and like this cycle goes on and on. And in the internship, I was like, I had to study this whole topic, so I had to understand the whole everything, theoretical thing and then experimental thing. Then I had also got to learn many devices. They had many large devices. They were state of art devices. They were very costly. They needed well maintenance, and everyone in the lab was also very helpful, and they were very nice with all the other interns also, that they also allowed us to use other devices in our free time, so we could also get to learn about them. So my lab experience was like multifaceted, to be honest. And apart from my research, whenever I got free time, I used to attend other lectures that they used to organize for all the summer students, and they also had some program for undergraduates. So I attended some lectures on Python. They had like giving proper course type of lectures for Python machine learning that they were using in high energy physics. But during this internship, actually, and as I told before, like I was not sure which field I actually want to pursue. So I had applied in nuclear physics. I got nuclear physics, but then I realized like this is not the field that I would actually like to work on in future. So, but it was very enriching experience. I got to learn how chemistry and physics go hand in hand. And obviously, when you are doing research, it is not about some subject. All the different subjects come together in research. In my lab, my professor was working on different subjects actually. There were students who were working in physics like me. Then there were chemistry students. There were environmental science students. Then there were also geology students there. There were some students from my university also there. So I got to learn like how all the fields come together eventually to make this whole beautiful thing that this was like really beautiful concoction of this whole thing. So apart from this, I got to learn that all the research that was going on in the institute was like very good, as it is one of the best institutes in India. So there were like some professors who were working in field of high energy physics. I got to interact with them. There is an institute just adjacent to SINP, which is VECC, Variable Energy Cyclotron Center. We got to visit there for a day, and I got to interact with some professors, like the latest research that was going on at CERN, LHC, and other experiments, ALICE, and all that. So I got to learn that there are some professors who are working in the same field at my university also. So currently I am doing a master's project which is on ALICE and RHC BNL. So in that sense, this internship, it was like really enriching. Like I got to learn so much. I was like so happy there. Seriously, I was so lost in all that research, temperament, and all that stuff. And I was like, and didn't want to come back. Those 2 months were like the best months of my life for now. And apart from this research experience, there were like so many other students there from different parts of India. And there was not a single student with whom I could speak in Punjabi, and I was like all the time Hindi or English and all that stuff. And I was so tired, like waiting for when that day will come and I will finally meet all the Punjabi people back at home. So that in that sense, that I got to meet many people there. There were South Indians, there were Bengalis there, Odia people, and like many other people. And we used to go to visit different places in city on weekends, and I got to learn a lot about living at a place that you have never been to before. Like that city was also like a little bit hard to live at, because the weather was very humid there. And first day when I got there, I was like, no, how could I survive there, But with time, I got to like really appreciate the whole place and all the things that were there. So I was really happy that I got this opportunity, and I would advise all the juniors and all the students who want to do internship that there are also summer projects at this institute also. I got to learn about it only after I got there. that they run this program in which they invite the student for 3 years for a duration of 1 month. And since I got to interact with those students, I got to learn that yes, they didn't know everything about what they were doing, since they have not studied all the subjects before. So, but still they got to learn things like computer languages like Python and many other things are late. I would advise everyone to like apply to the summer schools also and also internships. And from my experience, I think applying at Indian Academy of Sciences and getting selected in it is easier compared to other institutes because the programs that are organized by the institute itself, it is hard to get a place there. But Indian Academy of Sciences program selects a lot of students and there is better possibility of getting selected in this program. So that's it.
So thank you, Simran, for sharing this valuable experience. The next speaker of the evening is Manu Gupta. He is currently doing MSc in GNDU Amritsar, and he was a former intern at IIT Ropar. The field in which he worked is financial statistics and probability distribution. So Manu, how the research environment at IIT is different from the university, and what do you think, how much communication skills are important to get an internship?
Like what Shefali asked me, how the communication skill work to get an internship. I think it is the most important thing. If we see a life of professor, if we see according to life of professor, he or she is very busy. He has classes, he has his research going on, as well as he has to take another government duties as well. So if you want to do a research, basically go to the professor, directly meet him or email him at least 2 months or 3 months before starting of the internship. So that's how communication can play a role. So basically they don't have the time to check number of emails. So you just have to communicate him or her a bit early. So that can answer your first question. So talking about the different cultures at IIT and university, theoretically they are basically pretty much same. Like the books they read, the topics they study, the way they study, it's almost same. Where we lack and they excel is basically they're practically much superior to us. They first learn things and then try to apply it in different aspects of life. So that's I can say about your questions. Lots of people hear about the stock markets and we see the number of stocks are going up and the number of stocks are going down. So in economics, there are people who are interested to know which stocks they should invest their money. So my project was to predict that stock. Basically, I have historical data about number of companies, and I have to try to fit that data into different probability distribution and then predict. It basically statistical mathematics.
So the next speaker is Abhijit Singh. I would like to ask the moderator to please unmute Abhijit. Abhijit has done his BSc in GNDU and currently pursuing MSc in Guru Nanak Dev University. He attended an internship at NIT Jalandhar and his field was experimental condensed matter physics. So over to Abhijit.
Thanks a lot, Shefali, for such a nice welcome. A very good evening to all of the participants present here, and I would like to thank the SciRox team for inviting me and giving me an opportunity to discuss my internship days with all of you. So I did my internship at Dr. B.R. Ambedkar National Institute of Technology, Jalandhar during the summer break of 2018, and just after completing my BSc, I went there. So it was the branch I chose was the condensed matter physics. Primarily due to the simple fact that I was just attracted to working with machines because I loved working with them. And the material science or the condensed matter physics branch gave me an opportunity to work with them, learn how to use them, and not only learn, try to fabricate and improve certain materials which surely will be beneficial for human society and all of us. So I will now talk about how I got that internship. I had also applied, like the other participants like Vishwav and Neha. I had also applied for IAS internship and other programs as well. But these programs are very, very competitive. And I didn't get selected in any in them. So what I did was, since I was motivated to pursue research and didn't want that break to just waste away and go away, what I did, I just started emailing the professors I searched on the internet, and then I emailed those professors whose research interest matched with mine. So all in all, it was a continuous effort of 1 or 2 months. I was emailing them and making write-ups and all. And suddenly, or you will say, one day I got an acceptance letter from one of the professors at NIT Jalandhar, Dr. Abhinav Pratap Singh. Though my internship was not a fully funded one, I had to pay a certain amount of fees for my admission and the hostel charges, etc. But the overall experience that I got there was valuable, was very, very good. The professor, Abhinav Pratap Singh, he was very, very keen on listening to my queries, and he also explained me very, very in a very easy manner the things that I would be working upon. And so he assigned me a project to work upon transparent conducting oxides. So we chose a material that is zinc oxide. We had to it was like we had to dope gallium with zinc oxide and introduce gallium as an impurity into the zinc oxide material, and then study its structural and morphological properties for their application as transparent conducting oxides. So I had to firstly I had to prepare the samples, the thin film samples, and then study them on the basis of the other techniques that I will be talking about. So the powder samples were prepared in the NIT lab only. For the thin film samples, I had to go to Punjab University, Patiala. So it was all, again, I had to visit a new institute. I explored that institute. I stayed there for 3 to 4 days. I learned to use thermal beam evaporation technique, which was used to ultimately fabricate the thin films. The feeling that I got when I first saw my material getting evaporated and then sticking to the film and handling that film was just impeccable, and I still cherish those moments. So then after the fabrication part was over, it was the turn of the structural study part. For that, the NIT had facilities for that. Like the XRD facility was there, X-ray diffraction. Other facilities included the UV visible spectrometer, which was used for analyzing the transmitters and the conductance part, and one more, the like conductive measurements. So they were very, very helpful in deciding about the material, because TCOs are a special class of materials which are transparent as well, and at the same time they conduct through. They find numerous applications in all of our devices, like the mobile screens that you are currently watching upon this Zoom session, that any OLED screens, etc. So it was one of the very, very good experience. I got to know so many things about the literature survey on how to handle experiments, on how to perform them in a delegate manner. In addition to that, the environment was there. Environment was very, very good there. The research scholars were very, very helpful. Even I got to interact with research scholars from other fields too. Like I had many, many interactions. I had evening sessions with one of the research scholars working there. He worked as a particle physicist there. So we used to talk about the nature of the reality, how quantum mechanics was linked, how particle physics was linked. They were very, very good. They opened my mind in thinking that how the physics can relate to us in daily lives. Though I had opted for condensed matter physics, I was working on it, but I also got a chance to learn briefly about particle physics and the quantum mechanics part, how they connect to the nature. So after my internship was over there, I just submitted a report and it got all over. So the next thing that what came to my mind, that I had done an experimental part, experimental internship. Now I wanted to explore a bit more about the theoretical part, because in deciding about your career, where to go, the theoretical branch or the experimental branch, you need to have both experiences. So I joined Dr. Bindya Arora at Guru Nanak Dev University. She assigned me a master's project in which she told me to work upon the use of quantum simulators, which was a purely theoretical subject, and I also had very, very good experience in that too. So all in all, I will conclude by saying that keep looking for your interest and just explore them, because you don't know when you are in BSc first year or anything, you don't know properly whether you will be able to work in the research environment or not. these internships help you a lot in deciding about your career choices. They help us a lot. So the last sentence that I will be concluding: the more you explore, the more you learn. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Abhijit. So the last speaker of the evening is Pooja. She is currently doing BSc in Guru Nanak Dev University, and she is in third year. She has done her internship at IISER Mohali in the field of nanoparticle physics. So Pooja, I would like to ask you to share your experience and how it helped you, motivated you to pursue research.
Thank you, ma'am, for introducing me, and good evening, everyone. I joined for internship program in INST IISER Mohali, and my field was in nanoparticle physics, the supervision of Shubhankar Chakravarti, sir. Of course, that was a very valuable experience that I got there. Actually, I learned number of new techniques there. For example, I was not known to the term adiabatic beam magnetization that time. I just had an experience of how do they use that technique, and now I have learned that in thermal physics. So that was very helpful for me to relate that with my practical experience. Actually, there I was asked to know about each and everything that they were using, starting from the lasers to the main techniques they were using. My topic was to induce conductivity at the interface of insulators. Actually, I will not call them insulators. I should not call them by insulators because actually they were using peroxides. Peroxides are available at market and you can buy them. They show different type of properties. For example, magnetoresistance, superconductivity. They were using peroxides and they were depositing layers of different peroxides at each other and were inducing conductivity at the interface. So that was a new experience for me. I was not known to the term research actually very well that time, and they made me to know how do they work, all the little things they were doing. For example, they asked about very basic questions. For example, I was asked that why do we call velocity of electron in electric field a mobility? It is a simple velocity. Why do we call it a mobility? And that is because a single electron doesn't move in a wire. It moves in a cloud. There are a number of electrons and there is a cloud of electrons that move. So that is why we call them, why we call it as a mobility. Similarly, I was asked to give presentations on the techniques they were using. For example, diffraction techniques, the PND they were using for to deposit one layer over other. So I gave the presentations and I was asked to be attentive and to be conscious while performing the experiments. And that was very useful experience for me. I was in third semester in BSc when I joined them. I was very junior, so I was not allowed to perform a lot. But yes, I learned how they do work and what is research lab means actually. So that is what I had in INST. That was very helpful.
So I think we are done with all our speakers, and now I would like to ask participants to ask questions. They can ask questions now.
So the first question was from Gaurav Datta. I don't see Gaurav, but his question was, I'm not sure his question was for which of the speakers, but if anyone can answer his question, it's of general interest for everybody else. Can you please give me some hints on writing proper resume? Yes, Manu.
Okay, everyone. According to me, there are three things that are important to a resume. If you focus on these three things, I think it would help you to write a better resume. The first thing is motivation. Basically, what drives you to do that? Why do you want to do it? How do you want to do that? That is the motivation. And the second thing is what's in history have been done in that field or in your project. And the third, how do you propose to solve that problem? So that's from my side, motivation in history what is being done, and in future how do you propose to solve that problem?
So whatever you said is very much correct for the statement of purpose. So this is very correct, that statement of purpose has to be written keeping in mind 3 points which you have stated: your first interest and how you develop that interest in that particular field, and then what all qualifications you have to do that particular interest, and how you can contribute after coming back or while at your stay at the internship institute. How can you contribute to the institute and all? So
Yes.
these are the points. I think I have unmuted Neha. If Neha can answer how to make a good resume.
Hello. Okay. So the first thing that is very much important is your CGPA. And for the CGPA, you need to work hard. You need to concentrate on your subjects and everything else. This doesn't mean that you need to get 9.5 of the CGPA, but not less than 8 of the CGPA. So that is very much important. The second thing which I think for the resume is important, that you attend lot many of the workshops and participate in lot many of the workshops or other seminars, so that you can have interest in the research. You can have a knowledge about what research fields are and in which research field you are interested, and that's very important. So if you have attended so many of the workshops or the research research in research webinars or the seminars, then you know about your interest a lot. I think these two things are very much important. Other than that, I guess you need to be you need to have a good recommendation as well. You need to be if you wanted to be selected in any of the internships, then recommendation is the third process for this. So anything Simran wants to say?
Yeah, Simran, if you want to add something, I'm unmuting you.
Okay. So it's definitely important to have a good CGPA and a good, a good biodata about you. But another important point is that you must write your resume in a good manner. Like, it should be crisp and brief. Like, don't go on adding paragraphs and paragraphs there. Nobody's going to read those paragraphs. Just try to make your resume as crisp and as brief as possible. That makes it easy to be read and also makes it presentable. That's what I want to say.
So the next question was from Chinmay, but his question was, please tell us which university organizes summer schools in physics. So if any one of you have an idea of which universities organize summer schools in physics.
Yeah, probably I think I can answer this. There are many institutes which provide internship programs that are they are short term or long term. TIFR, ICTS, there are Homi Bhabha National Institute, VECC, SINP Kolkata, ISER, all the ISER Mohali, Pune, and other ISERs. So there are there's Aries Institute in Nainital. So there are many institutes. You can just Google it on internet, and there is a list of institute ranking wise. So you can choose your institute according to their requirement. Obviously, your CGPA, there are some topmost institutes, then moderate, and then the lower ranking. So you need to choose according to your requirement, according to their requirement as well. You have to choose it wisely. So I think Rishabh can answer it.
So I think the question that was asked was about summer schools instead of internships. So when it comes to summer schools, Aries is one of the best summer schools in astronomy and astrophysics. They have a 10-day summer school at the Manora Peak, where there is an observatory, and I was selected for that this year, but due to COVID-19, they had to cancel it. So when I reached there, they had to send us back. Another summer school is the one that Ishita attended when after the BSc at Bangalore. I think that was in IUAC. Or Ayuka, I don't. I think it was an Ayuka. These two summer schools are very, famous in as far as I know in my field. And apart from that, of course, the internships are there. If you don't have like 9 or 9+ CGPA, then one of the best programs that you can apply to is the IES, Indian Academy of Sciences, Summer Research Fellowship. Because I know some of my friends whose CGPA was, I mean, less than 7. And they got into that program just because they had research experience. So there are many institutes that don't only see how many grades, how much grades you have, but also see your overall profile. Like if you don't have those grades, then what else do you have? It can be it can be a research experience, or it can be anything. But you have to justify your grades in your write-up or in your CV. Like if you did not get the 9+ grades or very good grade, then what else do you have so that we can accept?
The next question is from Medha Singh. Her question is, how can a fresher without any research or project background can have a good write-up? And this is a very genuine question. Like everybody needs a start point. It's something like when you go for an interview, you are always asked about experience, but if you are not being given the first break, how would you have an experience? So if a person, if a fresher without any experience background of research, how can he or she convince that give her a first start? How can she have a good write-up? So Simran, I think, has an answer for this.
In order to write a good write-up, and if you don't have any research background, then I think first of all, identify a field that interests you the most. I think these points have been highlighted before also, like writing for writing a proper write-up. So first of all, choose a field that interests you the most. Then if you are you have some idea about some good topic in this field, then research that topic. Otherwise, research on the internet what are the latest research going on in that field. Then if something interests you, find that thing and then research further about it. See what are the latest problems in that field, latest question being asked in that field. Then on your own, think about it, like what you can what kind of question you can ask in this field which have not been answered yet. Then actually I have used this technique in my write-ups also, like and I think that helped me in the writing a good write-up, so they will be useful. You should just do it.
If any other participant has any question, they may type it on the chat window or raise their hand. Else we would like to end this session. And I really appreciate everyone's effort here to be present here, to listen to various experiences from these past interns. And I hope you all got something, and this session was of some help for you all. And if you have any questions in future regarding these internship programs, you can always contact these interns and our ex-students who have these experiences. So I think Rishabh wants to say something. Rishabh, officially, after you are done with whatever you want to say, kindly officially close the session so that I can end the meeting.
Yeah, ma'am. So it's not a question. I just want to personally, thank you because you have been one of the guiding lights, the most important guiding lights for me. And it was from you that I got to learn so much about research. And when I did my project with you on in atomic physics, like that project really helped me a lot to understand what is how research is done, like how officially research is done. Because in that project, I learned paper reading, literature survey, and also paper writing. So I would like to thank you a lot for that.
Thanks a lot. I really appreciate your kind words.
And the students in GNU, I must tell them that you can always consult ma'am if you have any difficulty. She's very helping, and like she always she's there to guide you. So you can always consult her, like I did.
Thank you so much. And I thank Shefali for all her efforts and time in putting up this together. Thanks a lot.
Because of you, ma'am.
I would like to end this meeting now and have a great evening.
Okay.